Good evening, fiends. I am Riggor Mortiss. And this is Riggor Mortiss Presents. You know, there's just nothing like the smell of a new coffin. Or an old one, for that matter. Know what I mean, Night Angel? Oh, sweetheart, where are you? Oh, there she is now. How are you doing tonight, my darling?
Enjoying the air outside.
Nice and dank and foggy.
Very.
Anything like that haunted shop we were both in at one time?
Now that's something to talk about. It was quite an experience there.
She was there. I was there. But you weren't there, were you? I've got a tale that's a true tale, and it will curl your hair. Are you ready? It was in southern Indiana. The building was 140 years old. And they say that there were things that went on in the building that were unmentionable. I will name one. There was probably a secret society. Some say it may have been Satanism. Some say it may have been witchcraft. Who knows? But the building itself was so incredibly old, it probably held all kinds of spirits inside. We just happened to find a few. The dank basement I picked for my resting place was so awesome. It had its own atmosphere. It had its own fog that would rise from the ground and just hover ever so beautifully above the earth. And it had shadows that would run to and fro on the wall. And it had its own moldy, musky smell. You gotta like musk. Reminds me of mushrooms. I love mushrooms. But when I was cleaning up downstairs in some of the alcoves, there were some coal shafts that had debris in them, and I thought, oh, it would be so awesome to have these things just look like someone had just caved in. It would have been so awesome. And while I was debating on what to make the set look like, I heard footsteps up above. Then I heard voices. I heard people talking and then laughing at each other and with each other. And I thought, who's here? Who's down in Riggor Mortiss's domain? So I creeped up the stairs, expecting someone to be there, but there was not a soul to be found. Not so much as an animal, not even a mouse or a rat. I could have understood if there was a raccoon or a cat or some other creature. But the creature we found, we didn't reckon on finding. And then I went next door to look to see if maybe it was the next door neighbors. No next door neighbors. Then I got to thinking, how can you make hard footsteps on a carpeted floor? You tell me, and then I'll believe you. She happened to come in to the Halloween store, and she saw and heard what I saw and heard. What did you see?
Well, while we were downstairs trying to get things set up, I kept hearing things from a distance. At first it was very vague, then after a while it got really heavy. The atmosphere became very thick, and while we were doing what we were doing, we could hear people talking, a man and a woman. And we all sat and listened very quietly, trying to hear if we could make out what they were saying.
We were eavesdropping, to be honest.
Wondering if it might be the neighbors or somebody wandered into the store. But we knew we had locked the doors.
No customers.
We checked. There was no one around. It was very late at night. Of course, that's when we like it. And then we heard the footsteps. Very heavy. On what would sound like a wooden floor. But we knew very well it was carpet, no wood. And while we were listening to Riggor, we began to see things appear in the basement. We could try to ignore it and go on with what we were doing, but it became very apparent it was not going to be ignored. It began to illuminate behind us. That's when we said, well, let's leave them to themselves and we better go for a while.
You see, we were down there trying to be scary and creepy and spooky, and all that energy, it was absorbing and trying to manifest. While we were down there doing the first taping, which your eyes have never seen and probably never will because of the paranormal things. I know there were probably lots of orbs, probably lots of slithers that went across the screen. I've seen some myself right outside my own crypt right here. This very yard has an atmosphere that is just unbelievable. For all around is nothing but cornfields and grass and woods. We're in the middle of nowhere. Where else would you position a nice, scary old grave? It's a crypt. I like it as a crypt. It's scary, it's spooky, and it's...
But we call it home.
But that night, I was reading some of my famous prose that you saw that hangs ever so elegantly in the crypt.
Very nice.
I think he captured the real me. Anyway, he painted my portrait. He came in, he felt the atmosphere, and he looked at me and kind of shrugged a little bit. He goes, "Oh, Riggor, you guys have spirits here, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, we do." I don't know if they're my friends yet, but we had spirits. And his name was John Rogers. And if you need a painting done, see John Rogers. He'll do it. But another friend of ours, named Rob Smith, we've been telling him about these events all along. And not one thing could we get to appear. Not one thing would materialize. We couldn't get a noise. We couldn't get a thing to move. We couldn't get anything. That night, we were all present in the crypt. And things began to happen. Or the fact that we were beginning to get a little freaked out. Maybe. But it picked up that energy and started doing things, and it just one thing after another. It was a mist, and then it was noise, and it was laughter, and then it was footsteps, and we could hear things moving, and we heard something fall, and then finally Rob Smith heard it. He goes, "Oh, I do hear it now. See, we weren't fooling you. We're telling you the truth. There's something here that shouldn't be here." And you know what? It's still there, and I'm not. But that's all that we have tonight. Or unless you have something else, my dear.
I don't have anything yet.
Then, shall we shut the crypt?
Well, and if they want to send anything in themselves.
Oh, I guess I could. I was wanting to retire after a nice little snack I was going to have in a little bit. I thought I'd have some pickled eyeballs and some earlobes. But anyway, forgive me. If you have a scary story that you want me to tell all your friends, send them to me at Riggor Mortiss @yahoo.com, and I'll Riggorize them and put them on YouTube or any other spooky place that you want to see them. I may even be able to raffle off maybe a CD or maybe a DVD of your personal episode. Later on, we may end up with some t-shirts I could see Riggor with a nice t-shirt, maybe in blue or black. A friend of mine once said, "We don't have any other colors, only blue and black." But those were the days. So we may even go, instead of blue and black, we may go gray and white. I don't know. We might go black. I don't know.
Maybe they can
You just
suggest.
Yeah, suggest what color you would like, and we'll make that a popular color. I mean, it'll be something that's nice on a body. What could that be?
Either one.
Live or dead? Preferably dead. Live ones are way too warm for me. But we're also thinking of maybe doing some signings, and we know Halloween's coming up really soon. I mean, real soon. So if you want me to come to your school or your place of business, and we're here in Columbus, Indiana, so keep it local, will ya? A ghoul like me can't travel too far. I don't like the sunlight. So, Night Angel, my darling, I guess we should bid them adieu, shall we?
Yes.
Until...
Night.
Good night. Until we meet again, keep screaming. I'll hear you. Good night, kitties. My fiends. Pleasant screams, freaks.